awesome. Pleasure meeting you. Hello. It's been like a couple of years since I met you.
It's been a while.
Yes. We'll talk more later.
Very good. I kind of remember that. No. I remember you told me.
We'll talk later. Okay.
Yeah. We're good.
Thank you, everyone. Is this on? Thank you, everyone. Can you all hear me? Thank you all who came out today. June is Worldwide Pride Month for the LGBTQ community. And this year marks Revere's third annual flag raising to kick off Pride Month. So welcome. Currently, there's a new wave of barely disguised anti-LGBTQ bills that were filed across the country. Bills that infringe upon the rights and dampens progress of members in our community. The raising of the Pride Progress flag is a representation of the LGBTQ community's resilience, the struggles we have faced, and the reminder we must continue the journey of equality for all. Also, this flag shows the City of Revere's commitment to recognizing, including, and safeguarding its LGBTQ individuals. Now, more than ever, we need our community and all our allies at a local, state, federal, and spiritual level to stand with us in our quest for equality, today and forever. So today, I am pleased to have speakers who are allies to the LGBTQ community and who are here to celebrate and kick off Pride Month. But before we do that, I want to welcome back Rabbi Leor Nevo. It's a pleasure to have her back. She joined us last year, and she's going to say a little prayer.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you so much, and it's such an honor to be here at City Hall, and it's such an exciting time. So I said over the past few weeks and months, our country has suffered a lot of loss and pain and fear. And nothing brings more healing than the hope that the rainbow brings. And seeing the rainbow fly here over City Hall in Revere brings so much hope and so much love. And that will cure everything. So I want to just give a little blessing for Pride as we start this month of Pride. This blessing was written by Rabbis Vlacher, Steelman, and Becker. A blessing for Pride. Source of life, you have blessed each of us with your spirit. In your wisdom, you have made each of us a unique treasure. Wellspring of our lives, cause us to flow with courage, strength, and compassion, to live our stories openly, proudly, and joyfully. Presence of love, you embrace us with your love. May we embrace ourselves, our partners, our lovers, our friends, our children, our dear ones with the power of your unending, boundless love. Spirit of peace and wholeness, open our eyes to the gifts and blessings we offer and receive from each other. Open our hearts to welcome each other fully and truly. Open our hands to embrace, to support, to lift each other with joy, with song, and with deep friendship. Today, as we celebrate renewal, pride, and community, let us walk together with strength, compassion, and love. We bless you, wellspring of our lives. May you fill us with joy and sanctity. Happy Pride Month, everybody. Thank you,
Thank you, Lou. our next speaker has been more than an ally. When I told him about the struggles of the LGBTQ community in Revere and how it's almost obsolete because of the rhetoric on social media, which is our worst nightmare and our biggest opponent, social media. Okay? That does more harm to all of us than anything you can think of. My next speaker, when I brought to his attention about Pride Month, what we can do, he was ready to close down Broadway and have a block party. This is the leadership we need. We're not there yet. We're not ready to fill up Broadway, but he has been one of the best partners to work with. He and his staff has been amazing. So open and welcoming to the LGBTQ community. So it is my pleasure to introduce my friend, Mayor Brian Arrigo.
Thank you for the kind words, Stephen. Before I begin, I do want to recognize our partners in state and local government that have joined us today, starting first and foremost with Assistant Speaker Catherine Clark. Thank you for being here, Assistant Speaker. We're also joined today by Senator Lydia Edwards. Thank you, Senator. State Representative Jessica Genino. City Council President and Councilor at Large Jerry Visconti. Ward 3 City Councilor Anthony Caldeandro. Ward 6 City Councilor and City Council Vice President Ricky Serino. We're also joined by members of the Revere School Committee, Michael Ferranti. Stacy Rizzo, all the way in the back. Carol Ty. We're also joined by Dr. Diane Kelly, our superintendent. Thank you for being here. Anthony Caggiano, our representative on the Northeast Vocational School. And our Human Rights Commission Chair, Janine Mara. Thank you for being here. And I didn't mention Stephen because I'm going to say something about him in a little bit. But thank you, Rabbi Nevo, for the beautiful words. As always, you bring light, even on a dreary, dark day. There's light when you share words of wisdom. So thank you. So as Stephen said, we are gathered here today for our third annual Pride flag raising in the city of Revere, and yes, that's right. And for the last 3 years, we've joined together to celebrate progress, embrace diversity, and honor our LGBTQ residents by raising the Progress Pride flag. And this is certainly something that we should be proud of. We do have a little bit more work to do. As Stephen said, we will get to the point where we are shutting down Broadway and we're having a big old block party. But I want to make sure that we all take a moment and remember how we got here and appreciate how we got here. And we got here to a place of inclusion. And I say that because as I think about days like today, I think about the fact that even 10 years ago, when I embarked on my public service life, an event like today would not have been as welcomed as it is today. And so we have made tremendous progress. And I'm thankful to be joined by advocates within the queer community as well as powerful allies. And we're all working towards one goal, and that is for everyone, despite their sexual orientation or gender expression, to express themselves as they wish, to be themselves without facing judgment or prejudice by their peers. And as I look around today, I see many of those who have done just that, who have time and time again stood up for what they believe in despite judgment, despite pushback, and despite hate. And so that is my segue to Councilor Steve Moravido. And there are a couple people that I want to mention specifically, but Stephen, I wanted to call you out because we would not be here today without the driving force that is Steve Moravido. And Stephen grew up in a Revere like I did, where we weren't as inclusive as we are today. But despite it all, despite all the challenges that somebody like Stephen had, he took the step to run for public office. He's taken the step to become a leader in the community, and one where today younger people can look up to Stephen and know that they see somebody who's like them. And Stephen didn't have that growing up. And I think it's important to call that out, the difficulty, the challenges that come along with that, but more importantly, the strength that Stephen has to be that leader in our community. So we all know that representation matters, and Stephen, you are a tremendous representation of the LGBT community, and I want to thank you for your service and your dedication to the City of Revere. Thank you. There's one other person that I wanted to call out, and she's not here today. I hope she appreciates this. Kathy Reinstein, who could not be here today, but is a member of our Human Rights Commission, and her work on Beacon Hill, I cannot have any more appreciation for. When it was really difficult in the early 2000s to be a voice and a leader in a community like Revere, she continued to fight for progress, and she got us to the point where we are today. And I want to just thank her for her commitment to the City of Revere and to the cause of the LGBTQ community. I do want to acknowledge City Council member from the City of Boston and DA candidate Felix Arroyo for Ricardo Arroyo. I am so sorry, Ricardo. I'm gonna get so much crap for that. I know. Ricardo, I apologize. It's just like automatic, you know. But I did want to acknowledge you. Thank you for being here, Ricardo. And finally, I have the pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Assistant Speaker Catherine Clark, who has been a fighter for the LGBTQ community from day one, since her days on the Melrose School Committee, all the way to Capitol Hill. I cannot say enough for how much I look up to Assistant Speaker Clark. I have to say that because she's a neighbor now, but no, she has been somebody that I've admired from the days that we had coffee at Toretta's and just checked in with each other. And she had heard that I worked in the state senate, and she said, "Hey, I want to grab a coffee and bend your ear a little bit." And to today, where we are, Assistant Speaker Clark has been such a fierce advocate, and just last summer she really fought against the discrimination of the LGBTQ community in the higher ed institutions that we see throughout the country. Her advocacy has been admirable. I cannot say enough about Speaker Clark and all that you've done for the City of Revere, how you've represented us, and the fight that you've continued to fight. I greatly appreciate all that you've done for our city. And without further ado, Assistant Speaker Catherine Clark. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, it is so nice to be home here in Revere. Thank you, Mayor Rigo, and happy Pride, everyone. Really, I am grateful to be with all of you today. It is great to have so many elected officials, Councilor Visconti, Carol Ty. I shouldn't go into this because I'm gonna miss people. Thank you all, our Senator and State Representative, Rabbi. It is so good to see you again and be with you. It has taken a lot of fearless people to bring us together today. And here in Revere, there is no better example of that courageous leadership than Counselor Steve Moravido. He is the reason we are gathered. When I texted him and said, "Is there a rain date?" he said, "It is not going to rain." And that is the same tenacity he has brought to bringing pride to Revere. Proudly raising this flag over this city is not just a token act. It is a clear message to every LGBTQ youth in this city that we see them, we are with them, and we honor them. And we are building a community where they are included. And as a mother of a non-binary trans person, I cannot express how grateful I am to live in this city, to live in a community that honors pride in this way. Because it wasn't too long ago, as the mayor mentioned, when a ceremony like this would have sparked outrage and fear, hate and derision, and in too many parts of our country, that is still the case. And we are moving in the wrong direction as a country in so many of our states and communities. I've been thinking so much about the mass shootings that we've experienced, and it's brought me back to the sit-in that we had in 2016. And it came out of deep frustration that we would have moments of silence and then no moment of action for those victims. And it was after the horrendous shootings at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, where people were targeted because they had come together on the dance floor. And for so many of our friends in the community, we know that dance floor is often the first place of refuge that they find people that they can see themselves in. And to have that kind of shooting, that kind of hatred and loss of life targeted at a dance floor, which is what makes us human, that we dance and celebrate together, was so devastating. And here we are, 6 years later, with still no action. And what we're seeing as a real attack on trans children and trans people in this country. And we have a warning in the draft opinion we've seen from Justice Alito on Roe v. Wade that LGBTQ rights are also not guaranteed, not protected, that much like other rights that have been enshrined in constitutional law in this country, they can be rolled back. And pride has always been about raising the voices of the voiceless, empowering the marginalized communities to demand equality and justice for all. So now, more than ever, as we see these threats to our security, we have to come together and be reminded this is a shared fight. There's a great quote from Marsha Pay It No Mind Johnson, who said, "No pride for some of us without liberation for all of us." This fight is intersectional, and these last few weeks have made that painfully clear. So as we celebrate here today, let's recommit to the cause of protecting the safety and dignity of every person, regardless of who they love or how they express their gender and sexual identities. We will continue in solidarity together until our country lives up to our promise of liberty, equality, and justice for all. Thank you for being here. Thank you to the City of Revere. Happy Pride.
Let's give a round of applause for one of the highest ranking members of the Democratic Party, Catherine Clark. Just also want to recognize Dr. Garcia as well, part of the HRC. And I would like to recognize the former mayor and former city councilor, the family of Bob Hass, who are here in attendance. May he rest in peace. Also, Senator Edward Markey was unable to be here today. His representative, Liam Horseman, is here. Thank you for being here. He did send over a statement, and Carol Ty, school committee woman Carol Ty, is going to be honored with giving and reading the statement. Thank you.
I cannot be the voice of Senator Markey. He is so eloquent. But it is my honor to read his statement to you. As we raise the pride flag here in Revere and in cities and towns across Massachusetts and across the entire country this month, we must also raise our voices to call for equality and justice for all. Massachusetts has long led the nation in the fight for equal rights. And today, we celebrate that every person can marry whomever they love and live with pride as their authentic selves. Senator Markey and his office will always stand with the LGBTQ community as they continue to fight for equality, for justice, and for the recognition, respect, and dignity they deserve, not just during Pride, but every day of the year. Throughout Senator Markey's service in Congress, he has fought for equal rights for all Americans, including members of the LGBTQ community who continue to face systemic discrimination, bigotry, and hate. We will not rest until our federal government protects every single person, no matter how they identify or whom they love. We must protect trans youth who are facing unacceptable, cruel, and dangerous transphobic state legislation across the country. These bills lead to needless suffering in courtrooms, classrooms, and medical offices. Every child has a right to feel safe in their own home, in their school, and in their community. In order to combat homophobia and transphobia and work towards a more inclusive society, Senator Markey reintroduced the Gay and Trans Panic Defense Prevention Act last year. It's to ban these bigoted defenses in federal courts. These defenses seek to excuse murder and assault by blaming the victim's gender or sexual orientation. Our courts must protect the civil rights of LGBTQ individuals, not encourage bigotry or excuse violence, especially towards Black trans women who continue to be the victims of exceedingly disproportionate and deadly violence. All Americans deserve to be treated with dignity, with humanity, in our justice system and everywhere they go. Trans rights are human rights. LGBTQ rights are human rights. And no person should have to fear for their life because of who they are or who they love. So this Pride Month and every day, let us celebrate the strength of a beautiful, diverse, and truly inspiring LGBT community. Thank you. And thank you, Senator Markey, for your beautiful words.
Thank you to the U.S. Senator Ed Markey for preparing those statements. And let's give Carol Ty a round of applause for reading that statement so perfectly. My next speaker, our next speaker, I've known for a little while now. I knew her from reading headlines, because that's what she is. She's the showstopper. She is the headline. Lydia Edwards has been fighting for the LGBTQ community even before she was elected as a Boston City Councilor. And she did that when she was a city councilor in Boston. And I know she will be right beside me fighting hand in hand for any anti-LGBTQ legislation. So it is my pleasure to introduce Senator Lydia Edwards.
No pressure. No, literally no pressure, because this is a moment of celebration and also acknowledgement for how far we've come. So it's the lawyer in me, but it's also the person in me to want to always remind us how we're all connected. So let's start with 1967. Loving versus Virginia. 1967, 13 years before I was born. Some of us were here, some of us were here before then. This is the year that the United States Supreme Court said that we will not deny the basic right of marriage to people based on the skin color that they have. That was only in 1967. 1973, the American Psychological Association finally decided that being gay was not a psychotic moment. It was not a mental illness. 1993, 20 years later, we finally decided that LGBTQ individuals are patriotic and can serve in the military, but they can't tell anybody that they are gay, lesbian, or trans. I'm going to add in a special date for Revere in 2013. I believe you elected your first openly gay city councilor, Steve Moravido. I bring this up to remind us that all of us are deeply connected. My ability to marry the person I want to is absolutely connected to Steve's ability to marry the man that he wants to. We are all connected in our rights, in our ability, basic fundamental rights to love. And that is worth fighting for. And that is what we're here to remind ourselves and ground ourselves in. This is about the ability, the fundamental ability to love and be loved. For our children to feel love and feel protected in our schools as they are. For parents to be able to be parents. For people to be able to work in our military. For us to be able to serve in our truest selves. It fundamentally comes down to the ability to be loved. And I wanted to bring us and remind us that in this moment when we're dealing with mass expressions of hatred, that when we celebrate Pride, if we remind ourselves we are celebrating the ability to love loudly and proudly, I hope it inspires us to know that we will get through this. We will get through the mass shootings. We will respond to it with the fierce urgency of love and now, and it will be inspired by people like Steve. It'll be inspired by the transgendered individuals that took to the streets in Stonewall. It will be inspired by their fierce demand for love. And that's what we must be grounded in when we go to talk to each other about this. It's not up for debate. It is not up for debate. There is no other side to this. Human dignity and respect and honor has no other side or other perspective. We will fight for it here in Revere. We will fight for it in Massachusetts, and we'll fight for it throughout the entire country. One of the things I'm happy to have been supporting recently, and to remind us of that, we still have to undo some of the harms of the policies that we have implemented. I give credit to Senator John Velas, who is a proud member of our military. He introduced, and I co-sponsored with several of my other colleagues in the Senate, a bill that will undo the harm of Don't Ask, Don't Tell in Massachusetts. President Joe Biden has gone and pushed through an executive order to say that those individuals that were dishonorably discharged because they did not lie about who they were from the military, they were denied massive benefits, veterans benefits, VA loans, the ability to go on PX and be able to do so many different things, including the VA. They were denied that because they were giving a dishonorable discharge under Don't Ask, Don't Tell. He is undoing that harm federally, and we passed in the state Senate to do the same thing. So the benefits that were denied to veterans at the state level who were moved out or are required to leave the military under Don't Ask, Don't Tell, when this passes, and I know it will pass, we will go back and rectify those harms. We will bring about healing because we're going to acknowledge that loving someone is a fundamental right. And I'm proud of our state for being able to do that. And it's inspired by people like Steve. It's inspired by many of the people who sit in silence, who look to Steve. And I want you to understand how brave Steve must be and has to be, because there are so many people who cannot be. And they're going to see this flag, and they're going to feel seen, even though they are in the closet, even though their parents don't know who they love, even though they're denying themselves at work. They're going to see this flag as a symbol of hope. Honestly, we don't know how many lives we are saving by waving this flag and acknowledging that they have a right to be loved, and they are loved here in Revere. I am honored to be part of the legacy from Loving versus Virginia to today in Revere raising the pride flag. And so I'd like to end with a quote from Mildred Loving. I am still not a political person, but I am proud that Richards and my name is on a court case that can help reinforce the love, the commitment, the fairness, and the family that so many people, black or white, young or old, gay or straight, seek in life. I support the freedom to marry for all. That's what loving the case and loving are all about. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Our next speaker is someone I served on the city council with for many years. We started our venture on the council together as well. She was always someone I could bounce ideas off of, always accepted me for who I was. When I would receive death threats in the mail, or after a council meeting, hate mail left on my windshield, with words I can't even express because it was so disgusting. This person stood by my side, would always give me the backbone, when I'm like, what is going on with this city? Why are they doing this to me? I just want to be in a position where I can influence change and make a difference and be there for not just the LGBTQ community, but every single person. I treat fairly the same every single day. And she just gave me the fortitude, saying, Steve, just keep going. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. So it is my honor to introduce State Representative Jessica Genino.
Whoa! Yeah, Steve!
I saved the day.
That is not the first time the Councilor Moravido has had to catch me from falling, so. Woo! Kind of made me emotional with that, because I remember those meetings, and I remember those conversations, and I remember talking to you after those meetings and how difficult it was, and how much I love this city, and how much it broke my heart. But I want to talk about this is a happy occasion, and I want to talk about that. Pride Month is held every June to commemorate the Stonewall riots of 1969. While it celebrates the progress of the LGBTQ community, it also commemorates the tragedies and losses of far too many hate crimes. Pride Month serves as a reminder that everyone should be treated equally, no matter their sexuality or gender.
No one in our community should live in fear of being proud of who they are. I am so proud of the progress the City of Revere has made, in a large part due to the work of people like Councillor Moravido. In recognizing pride and supporting our LGBTQIA+ community. For me, my exposure to this community was not first in the City of Revere. It was different, and you guys know I'm different. It was during my time working in the cosmetics industry for MAC Cosmetics. And MAC's mantra was different, and it was so far ahead of its time. It was all ages, all races, all sexes. And when I was trained by that company, that was what we were taught. And we were taught to be able to work with anyone, no matter their skin tone, no matter their age, no matter how they identified or who they were. Our job was to make them feel good about who they were. And working at MAC opened my eyes in so many different ways, but it showed me firsthand the struggles of my queer colleagues. And I worked with people at MAC that were straight, that were gay, that were transgender, and that were in every other subset in this umbrella that we have. And I'll tell you, I had some really powerful experiences working for this company. One of my girlfriends was trans, and when we would go out for dinner after work, I saw how people treated her differently. And I saw the looks that she got, and I saw how people would make remarks when we walked by, and it bothered me. And it bothered me so greatly, because until you have a friend or a loved one, and you feel the pain that they're feeling, and you see in their eyes what they're going through in that moment, it's really, really hard to understand. And I think something that's so important that we remember when we celebrate Pride is understanding. We might not be able to feel, but we can understand, and we can accept, and we can be supportive. And as a makeup artist, I had a unique opportunity to help people that were transitioning. Maybe pick out their first lipstick. Maybe show them how to draw their eyebrows for the first time. And to give them that pride and to give them that self-confidence to walk out into a world as the person that they felt that they truly were is priceless. And I'll never be able to put a price on that experience that I had and those memories that I had for that company. And I'm so, so grateful for it. And I'm so glad that it opened my eyes to this beautiful and vibrant and inclusive community, because there were times when I was growing up and in my teenage years, I didn't feel like I had a place that I fit in. And let me tell you, this community always had a place for me. It always made me feel welcome. I want to end with a quote I read, and I hope we all take it with us when we leave today. As George Takei said, "We should indeed keep calm in the face of difference and live our lives in a state of inclusion and wonder the diversity of humanity." Thank you.
Hanging in there. So our next speaker that I introduce is going to have the pleasure of introducing our main speaker. She has been with the city 2 months, 3 months, 4 months? 6 months. Wow. It's been, well, I've been working with her for the past month with Pride festivities for the month of June. When I tell you, every day she is getting something done, whether it's getting advertisement made, calling Charlie Giuffrida and harassing him. No harassment. That's the wrong word. But both of them, working together with them, Charlie Giuffrida and Dr. Barros, it was amazing. And just seeing Dr. Barros in action, not in her role, was something you would describe as a phenomenon. She just was non-stop. So Dr. Barros is the chief of talent and culture in Revere. She's also the chief executive officer for a Human Rights Commission. And I was so impressed with her work that she just leaves me speechless. I don't even know where to start, and I even expressed my gratitude to the mayor and my pleasure of working with her and Charlie. They've been great. And it's just, I'm so speechless because seeing everything come to fruition and seeing them plan all these festivities, seeing the library here setting up a table, and seeing Diana and her staff out here, and seeing how Dr. Barros has brought everything together, having a celebration of Pride at the end of the month, a dance party, just seeing how quickly, and I have to admit, I had doubts in my mind. My wheels were turning, and I was just like, we're not going to do this. It's a month away. And the way she worked, her work ethic, she got that ball rolling so quickly that if I didn't move out of the way, it was going to knock me over. So it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Barros.
Thank you, Steve. You have a way with words. You just make us trip on our way to the podium. Thank you. Thank you for your collaboration and your leadership, right? We would not be here in year 3 if it wasn't for you. So again, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Dr. Maritza Barros, pronoun she, her, hers. So excited to be here with you all today as we raise the Progress Pride flag. I'm taking a book out of my millennial side by having my notes on my phone, so let's see how this goes. I wanted to share in my short talk today a little bit about the flag that we're raising. The Progress Pride flag was developed in 2018 by non-binary American artist and designer Daniel Alsar, who uses ZXYR pronouns. Based on the iconic rainbow flag from 1978, the redesign celebrates the diversity of the LGBTQ plus community and calls for a more inclusive society. The flag includes black and brown stripes to represent marginalized LGBTQ plus communities of color, along with the colors pink, light blue, and white, which are used on the transgender pride flag. The city of Revere is our home, and at home, you're encouraged to be yourself, just as you are. This is a city where we can be free to express ourselves authentically and unapologetically, free to explore and evolve as we choose. We need to practice better balance between giving people space and room to grow and providing effective support and services along the way. And I say that in a national sense as well. We must offer one another more compassion and grace in this journey for true inclusion. And in receiving that grace and compassion, it is our responsibility, and I mean our individual responsibility, not anyone else, but our responsibility to educate ourselves in our gaps of knowledge in the areas that are not salient to us. Every individual has a story and a purpose. Our purpose today is to raise the Progress Pride flag in honor of, in representation of, and in allyship with everyone who identifies as LGBTQ plus or queer, and to stand up for the right to freedom of expression, the audacity to be who you choose to be, not who you're told you should be. It is not only a pleasure to experience this flag raising with you all today, it is also empowering and inspiring. Speaking of inspiring, it is my honor to introduce Ellie Pagan Varga, a longtime city resident and special guest, to offer our keynote address today. Happy Pride, everyone.
I think I need the mic. I think they're going to switch mic.
Okay, perfect.
She's gonna have to, yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ellie Pagan Vargas. My pronouns are she and they. I identify as a two-spirit, genderqueer person of color and a mobility device user. I'm an intern for Representative Jeffrey Toko. Let me just take it.
Awesome.
No problem. Take that.
Pick up. I can do this. That's easy.
Yeah, no problem. I'm an intern for Representative Jeffrey Toko, who invited me here today to speak. As a citizen of Revere, I've seen all sides of the city, and it's been good to see the growth of diversity and acceptance over recent years. Having a sense of belonging in your community gives you more meaning to the work we do. I think this event is a great way to open discussion around LGBTQIA plus issues in our community, and hopefully in the future we can include more members of minority groups, so that way we can celebrate them too by raising this flag, pride flag. This flag symbolizes a new chapter for the LGBTQIA group plus group community of Revere and its allies. Raising the flag creates a more inclusive and accepting environment for all. Through this speech, I hope to convey that individuals are welcome and safe while being their unapologetic selves, regardless of gender, identity, race, and sexual orientation. As a community leader, I do my best to spread the word about the importance of being part of your community and advocating for what you believe in and helping others on the way. In conclusion, I would like to thank everyone who gave me the opportunity to speak today and represent my community, and I am excited to celebrate Pride in Revere this year. Happy Pride to everyone. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor. I want to thank Ellie for coming up here to speak. Anyone who's ever spoke in front of people know it's the most challenging thing to do. It's a very daunting task. But, Ellie, I think she left out something. What do you think? One more thing. I think you have to tell them to do something.
Put up that flag! I tried
And in the meantime, while they're doing that, we have a photo booth. We have a backdrop right here. Hashtag. You can send it on social media, take pictures, have fun with it. There's some props over here, some T-shirts from the library. So enjoy yourself and stick around afterwards. Also, on June 26th, Revere will be holding its first Pride Festival with a tea dance on June 26th at Waterfront Square from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. All are welcome. Thank you.
I have one more thing. Also, I provided music, but it's not here. If you want to go on Spotify, Revere Pride Flag Raising, you all have access to it. All PG-13 music, lovely high boost music. Thank you.
Thank you.
I forgot about that.